Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's topic. My name is Joe, and today we're going to be talking about confidence. It's such a weird topic. Honestly, there's so much nuance that goes into confidence itself because confidence is, I mean, it gets. I guess in my head, it's always been confused with self-respect or self-loving. Um, so in certain so in certain times throughout my life I've been told you just need to be more confident, and I'm like, I do have confidence. Like I know what I'm talking about. I know. And the problem is that I don't know how to show my confidence, right? So growing up, um, I was taught to be humble. I was taught not to brag. uh, you know uh, think of other people, don't put them down, don't make them feel bad because you know something and they don't, which is absolutely contrary to how the world works. Once you're an adult and once you actually learn a thing or two, you need to be able to show your confidence. You need to be able to show that not only do you know what you're talking about or know what you're doing, but you can do it as good as or better than most people who could possibly do it. Um, so for me, for example, one thing that has always come up is I don't do things very fast, and so because I don't move fast, I don't. Um, I will learn fast, but I don't start off by doing things fast. And so a lot of people view that as me being not confident. Um, And I guess there is some truth to that. As I gain confidence in my actions or my abilities, I do tend to pick up speed. As for my inner confidence, though, I know that I can do almost anything that can be taught. Uh, and so I guess that's kind of where a lot of people might get confused as to what the hell is confidence. If I know I can do something, if I am confident that I can do something, why can't you see that? And that's where this video comes from. That's it's where I want to address that. Now, I've tried looking stuff like this up, and for the most part, um Janie's back there having the time of her life. For the most part, though, um I've noticed that it also comes down to um how I feel about myself. So when I'm in a really good headspace, I'm on the ball. I know my shit, and I can get it done very, very, very well. Um, but I've noticed that when I'm not in a good headspace, so whether it's I'm in a depressive episode, or my ADHD is really acting up and I can't focus on anything, which is generally going to be stress related. If I've got a lot of external stress factors that will cause this, um, you know, just stuff like that, stuff that might be out of your control, but once you realize, like once I realize that I'm doing it, I can do something about it. So, uh, once I realize that I'm too stressed out, I'm not focusing on anything, and I begin to stutter, I can just go, hold on, and then I can take a second, collect my thoughts, and then I'm right back in it. And so that's the kind of thing where confidence is in that moment when I go, hold on, let me figure this out. But confidence is not in that moment before that, where everything is happening at once. I'm trying to pay attention to every single little thing that's happening, and then I can't keep up with anything. And so that's kind of, I think that's where a lot of people get um, the external confidence confused with everything else. Is they think, well, I have the knowledge, I can do this, I've done this, I just can't do it right now. And so people who don't have these issues view that as a lack of confidence. Now, one area that I have always had a lack of confidence is dating. You know, meeting women, um, actually getting to the point where you actually are capable, where I am actually capable of dating women. Um, I am so used to just not sexualizing women. So, for those of you who don't know, I grew up with six sisters. And my sisters, especially growing up, were my best friends. And even today, I get along with all of my sisters and love every single one of them dearly. But I learned growing up that the first reaction to women is not to sexualize them. And so that has definitely hurt me on the dating front because I just it's not the first thing that crosses my mind. So I've always been viewed as not confident on the dating scene, with women who maybe um, had tried flirting with me and I would flirt back and I was just like, oh, they just want to be friends. And even today I do this. It's a really bad and it's a good habit, but it's a bad outcome, right? For somebody who's trying to get into the dating scene. Um, and so it tends to send a lot of mixed signals because I am attentive. Um, I really remember like the small details and stuff like that. So one of the first questions when I meet a woman is, as we're in conversation, I ask what their favorite flowers are, what their favorite colors are, all that stuff, and I actually remember that stuff. I've there's uh, one woman that I've talked to really liked purple carnations. One woman likes purple lilies. One woman likes red roses. Two women like red roses, actually. Stuff like that. So, like, I remember that because as growing up with six sisters, you hear a lot of, I just wish I had a guy who would remember my favorite flower or my favorite color, or and the reality is that women really appreciate it, but if you don't know what to do with that information afterwards, I mean, it doesn't really do you any good. Um, there's and that's the so that's all misconstrued as confidence is the fact um, that I have this knowledge and I don't know what to do with it. And then I'm told, well, you just don't have any confidence when it comes down to women. I've got all the confidence. We could talk for hours. Um, and once I get somebody, in front of me, and that's another part of the issue is most dating these days is online. It's through texting. It's through, messengers on whatever website you're using. I don't really, I don't do the online dating stuff. Tried it a few years ago. Not a huge fan, and for all of these reasons, right? So instead of being able to get somebody, because I know that when I can have somebody in front of me and I can sit them and I know that I'm a charming individual. I know that uh, I mean, I'm able to read a person. I know what makes them uncomfortable conversation wise without them saying anything, um, all that stuff. So that's all confidence. Oh, sorry, that's all confidence on the internal level, but I don't show that externally. And again, reason for this type of video is the way people view you for when it comes down to confidence is everything, which is why so many people who aren't actually confident can act confident and have all of the, I guess you could say, success, but the reality is their lack of confidence eventually shows and then they lose everything that they gain, right? So uh, I know a few guys who brag about who brag about how many women that they're able to, take home from the bar or something like that. And this goes into the whole red pill movement thing. um, where you have just a bunch of pickup artists who might know what to say at first, but their ability to retain a person in their lives is very, very low. Um, and so, for those of you who don't know what the red pill movement is, it's a movement of mainly guys. It does seem like, from what I've poked in, it does seem like there's like a little bit of stuff in there for women too. Um, but it's basically like it's referencing the Matrix, and it's pulling back the curtain on how women think, and it's a bunch of pickup artist stuff. And I can't remember which episode of Healthy Gamer GG I was watching, but they were definitely talking to a guy who was red pilled, and he had left the red pill community, and he was talking about how it's just, the pickup artist stuff, and he said that he had a lot of success when it came down to picking up women at bars, or getting them in bed with him. um, but he never really was able to form a relationship out of that. And then as he talked, you could definitely tell that he was omitting certain areas. Um, and then I know, I mean, they say that you're the center of your world, so you're going to follow the both sides that you can, and you're going to be the center. So I follow both right wing and left wing people, and the reason for that is you need to know what everybody is doing, saying, acting, all of that stuff. If you want to make an informed decision, you have to get uncomfortable. Excuse me. So it definitely seems like there are parts of the red pill community that this guy did not want to talk about. Um, and as I have been following certain Twitter accounts or certain people through social media, I know that that the leader, I say leader, but the doctor who's like behind the red pill movement, I know that he is usually labeled as being a staunch misogynist, and he is not a very woman-friendly person. So it definitely seems, like I said, it definitely seems like there's a dark side that this individual is trying to avoid talking about. And it wasn't like super blatant that it's not like he was answering or refusing to answer questions, but it was the way in which he danced around a couple of his answers, where it was like, it was time to get out. And it's like, well, if it was going so well for you, and you were okay with being a pickup artist, what happened that made it time to get out? And and it's like, well, there's no real answer to that. Well, if it's time to get out, there's got to be something that gives. So and that's all. Again, the red pill movement, in my view, is a lack of confidence. It's a lack of self-respect and all that stuff. So getting into self-respect and getting into confidence building, there are definitely areas in my life where I have been uh, terribly like actually unconfident. Um, the first one for the longest time was I was afraid of living alone. I had a roommate until I was 32, 33 years old. And then after that, I moved in with my girlfriend at the time. And then when she moved out, I'm finally living alone. I think I was like 35 when I actually finally lived alone. And it was because I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to do it. Now, in a future episode, I will be going over budgeting and all that stuff. And the only reason that I can live alone is because of budgeting. I've got coworkers who, I mean, I know how much they make because we all make the same amount, and it's just the listening to them talk about, having cars repoed or losing their houses because they can't make payments, but their rent with their spouse is less than my rent alone, and they can't afford it. Well, that's, you know, so I'm getting off topic a little bit. Um, but that's part of my confidence though, is I can confidently pay my own bills. I can confidently um, trust myself to know that I need to come home and let my dog out after work. Uh, I don't really go to the bars. I don't. I mean, I basically go to work and I come home, and then occasionally I hang out with friends. Is it a boring lifestyle? Absolutely, it is a very boring lifestyle. But it's a lifestyle that I can afford right now. I mean, it is what it is. Unfortunately, with rents going through the roof, so I actually did try to find a new place to live because my um, what's it called? My lease is up at the end of this month of March, and so I was actually trying to find a cheaper place to live. So I'm currently paying 1150 a month for this house, and the rent is going to go up to 1240 a month because the owner cited that his insurance is going up, and well, when you have two bombs going off at the property, of course your insurance is going to go up, right? Um, that's a story for another video, but I've got really bad neighbors, and yes, bombs, like actual like pipe bombs. So it's kind of a it's living on your own. You have to have confidence. You have to know that when you've got a bad neighbor, um, you have to know that that you can handle them, that you know how to handle them, and just because they're bad people doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out there swinging. Sometimes the best thing you can do is literally ignore them. Do not react, because everything they do is to get a reaction, and that's their payoff. That's so sometimes inaction is far more confident than you could possibly believe, but it's often viewed as weakness because it's like, well, I need to beat my chest and go angry mode because uh yeah, it's just the way people view confidence in general is it's a really weird maze to kind of follow. um and I know that I've been kind of all over the board in with topics. I haven't really bulletined this out very well, but the reality is, if you're confident in yourself, eventually it's going to show through. um and so I guess part of this needs to be like, how do you, if you aren't confident, how can you become more confident? And so what you need to really do is figure out what areas are you not confident in, because the reality is you're probably confident in almost everything you do. And when I say that, what I mean is, just yesterday, there are three people that I really talk to, that I actually like open up to. And so I asked them, um, I'm working on a video. What and I want your honest answer. I don't need an explanation. Um, would you describe me as confident, confident in most areas, or not confident, or confident in some areas or not confident? And so two of the people said, well, I would say you're confident in most areas. Um, so you're kind of in between confident and confident in some areas. And then one person was just went with the bulletin, was like, yeah, you're confident in some areas. So for the most part, I am confident. Again, outward perspective, right? So and the way that I kind of got there was through through self-respect. Um, as I said, I was taught not to be braggy. I was taught not to be over the top or boisterous about, my successes or anything else, because I was taught to take other people's feelings into consideration when dealing with my own stuff. And the solemn reality is, if you do that, um, if you're always comparing yourself to everyone else, you're going to bring yourself down, especially if you're more successful than them. Instead of celebrating your successes, you start lamenting your successes. You're like, oh, I did well, but I just wish this person would have done better with me. I don't want to leave them behind, and you start beating yourself up for being successful. Are you kidding me? Why the hell are we doing this to ourselves? So once I learned a little bit of self-respect, once I kind of got through, it was toward the end of my 20s when I really started learning that I got to stop thinking of other people so much. I got to stop trying to bring everybody else up with me, because when you're trying to bring everybody else up with you, they want to drag you down. They want misery loves company. And the more you're around miserable people, the less self-respect you're going to have, because everything you do that's successful hurts them. So when it comes down to it, you've got to have some self-respect. You've got to be willing to leave people behind, to break friendships. Oftentimes, these types of friendships that are dragging you down and that are making you feel like you're a bad person for succeeding, those people are the people you need to cut out. And it doesn't matter if they're friends or family. Family is probably the biggest ones. Have you ever watched any of your friends who are more successful than the rest of their family? How much their family starts to go, well, you should take care of this for me because you're successful, because you have money. And then that makes some of us go, whoa, I don't want to be more successful than my family because I don't want to deal with that shit either. The reality is, there's a simple thing that you can tell your family. It's one word, it's a complete sentence, and it's an acceptable answer. And that is no. And that is something that learning how to say no will build your self-confidence so much. Your self-respect will go up because you say no. Your confidence will go up because you say no. And moreover, your outward confidence will go up because you say no. It is an insanely powerful word. Yes is also an insanely powerful word. And again, it's a complete sentence and it's an acceptable answer. So you never owe an explanation to anybody. And I'll go into this story real quick. This past Christmas time, 2021, it had been a couple of years since I'd really left the city that I live in. And so I had both. So basically where I live, if you travel 2.5 hours north, there's one family. You travel 3 hours south, there's one family. You travel another 2 or 3 hours south of that, there's another family. So like my family's kind of spread out. I always tell people, pick a direction, drive 3 hours, that's where my family's at. And it's absolutely true. Not so much east and west anymore, but pretty much north and south, 2 to 3 hours at a time. So, especially with COVID and everybody being home and all that stuff, I just haven't really had time to get out and do anything. And so I have currently been living on my own for the past year. With that though comes a couple of caveats. So my current rent is over 50% of my income, which means that when my rent goes up next month, it's still over 50% of my income. again, through strict budgeting, I'm able to survive. I'm able to get through, um, which has also been a major confidence builder. But I have not been able to travel. I've not been able to, I've got I've got to repair my car. I've got suspension issues, and so I don't want to take it on the open road, not until it's fixed. And so it's been needing to be fixed for over a year at this point. And I just don't have the ability to get it fixed yet. So with that, I've got family members over Christmas time who are like, "Hey, come visit us. Hey, come visit us." And so I'm like, "Well, I can't. Sorry, guys." And what I used to do is I used to break my neck to visit, down south and up north, and I used to try to do it every year, and it just ended up being me driving around the country for, a couple of days, and it's just not. I'm done. I'm done with that. So this year I told both families no, and oh my God, you, holy crap, they were all mad. I was catching shit from both ends. So it's one of those things where eventually you just got to say it. And the amount of crap that I was, and the amount of badgering that they tried doing, and the amount that they were trying to just convince me to make that drive, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's 3 hours one way, so it's literally it would have been 6 hours of driving. I would have been in one day, and who wants to drive for 6 hours on Christmas, on your day off? Like, let's be very real about this. I'm done, tired of it. So that's part of self-respect, is telling your family no. It sucks, and it does go deeper than that. So like the stark reality is, and again, I've told you guys multiple times, you're going to get to know me personally through this series. So ever since I was a kid, if I wanted to, see the people in the South, so as a kid, I was split. School time, I was in the North. Summertime, I was in the South. So during school time, I was in the North. I didn't get to see the people in the South. And if I wanted to see the people in the South, they would have to come up, and then I would have to basically move to the South for the summer. And then, so I would be, and, so my birthday was over the summertime too. So I would get to spend the summer with my family that was down south, which is fantastic. I absolutely love my family. Um, and but I missed out on getting to actually have birthday parties with my friends from school. So I would get back to school and hear about all of these grand adventures that all of my friends got to do, soccer over the summer, baseball, all this stuff, and all this stuff that I really wanted to try to get into as a kid. But because I was, moved so much every year, I didn't get to actually focus on anything. Um, and so it's just kind of one of those things where even as a kid, I was in boxing. Uh, and so for the summertime, though, I wasn't able to box because I had to go down south. Um, and it's just one of those things where I'm tired of moving to see people. And something that I started bringing up with my family is, look, I've been traveling to see you guys my entire life. I mean, yes, did people come to pick me up? Absolutely, they did. But they took a day to pick me up, take me back, and then they stayed in their bubble. I was removed from bubble to bubble. I didn't get to spend summers with, people who could have been my friends. I spent summers with, family members that I only got to see while I was down south. Same with, up north is, when, oh, my computer went to sleep. Uh, so that's kind of a you know a big reason why when it came time to say no, it needed to happen. Um, I I'm just like I said, I've just done traveling. Will I travel? Absolutely, I will. Once I'm able to afford to get my car fixed, and once I'm able to, make sure that it's safe for me to travel, yeah, I'll travel. Um, but it's going to be one of those things that it's going to have to be really well planned out because of my job, and um, yeah. So, again, the reason I started telling this story is this is actually over. So this was over Christmas this year, and the response that I got, because I made both sides of my family so mad, it actually got to me. I got insanely depressed, uh, to the extent that if I didn't have my dog, I probably wouldn't be here today because I was catching so much shit from both sides of my family because I said no to coming home for Christmas. So, it is important to say no when you can't do something. It is important to have self respect. It is important to be confident. When you say no, mean it and hold your line. It doesn't matter what they say, it doesn't matter what they do. Whether it's family, friends, exes, especially if you know it's somebody who's manipulating you. There are so many people in this world who would manipulate you, who would tell you, but we're family. We're family. You should come here because we're family. But if you say, you know what, why don't you come here? And they have all of the excuses in the world to never come to where you're at. What about we're family? So I firmly believe that family is an F word. Absolutely. I believe that family is used to abuse, and I believe that the word family is used to control. Aside from that, family doesn't mean anything, especially to me. The families I was born into have had almost no impact in my life. Aside from my sisters, my mother, my father, and my brother. Uh, Aside from my immediate family, my birth families have I almost I met my grandfather on my father's side 3 times in my life before he passed away. In my teens, um, I've got stories about my dad's mom. The family on my mom's side. You know, they're they're involved. They're in contact. Um, but never really been there for me. And there's distance that plays in that, and I enjoy. I do enjoy my mom's side of the family. They're really fun. Um, but like teaching wise, impact wise, um, I learned more from my step families. And it's a sad and solemn reality. And I do know that my mom watches these, and mom, I'm sorry. I love you, and I do love Aunt Charlotte and Uncle Mike, and I did love Uncle Kenny quite a bit, and I love Grandma Lola, and I love, please, please do not misunderstand what I'm saying. But when it comes down to actually teaching me life lessons and how life works, it is reality that they just weren't there. So for me, the families that I was, for lack of a better term, married into had a far bigger impact on my life and how I turned out, um, than the families that I was born into. So again, please and that's where my friendships come in too. Uh, I view a lot of my friends as family because of the fact that, well, they've been there to teach me. I mean, You know, one of my friends is really successful business wise right now, and he's always been a very forward thinking monetarily person, and always driven to be more and grow more. Even like as soon as we got out of high school, he just took off right in his own direction, and everybody else thought he was crazy, thought he was working too hard, thought he was putting too much of himself into his work. And to see where he's at now, it all makes sense. You know, it's so he has had he's been a really good person for me to follow, for me to kind of see what he does and how he's grown. You know, and again, confidence, right? When you watch somebody else be successful and you can see that it's capable, that you're capable of actually gaining something, that is confidence. You actually learn from other people, and you can pick up their confidence and be like, no, I already know this works. And so you can be confident in your decisions because you've already seen somebody else do it. So again, all of this kind of lends into confidence. All of this lends into self-respect, and self-respect leads into confidence. So I hope this has been eye-opening. I hope that this didn't get too dark or anything like that. Believe me, we do have a couple discussions coming up that are going to get very dark. And I'm warning you now because we're about 2 or 3 weeks out from a couple of those conversations. So, with that stated, I hope that you're all having a great day. I hope that this helps in anybody. And if you have questions, if you have comments, please reach out. Whether it's leaving a comment on the video, or if you know me personally and you don't want to leave a public comment, reach out. I don't talk about if you're somebody who knows me personally, I don't talk about this with anybody else. As far as I'm concerned, it's me and you. I will try to put up my social media accounts if I remember to when I upload this, so that way if you don't know me and you want to reach out, great. You don't need to leave a public comment. I have an Instagram that I've never posted on it, but I do check it every day. I have a Twitter. I have Instagram, Twitter. My Facebook is private, so that wouldn't help you at all. So I'll try to post my Instagram and Twitter in the comment or in the description. So thank you so much for hanging out. Again, I really hope that this does help somebody, and I really hope that you kind of see your own confidence. So with that, I'm gonna check out. You take care.